On Global TV News Express, Nigeria Medical Association issues fresh 21-day ultimatum to federal government in business. Federal government may sell 11 discussed new Investors in Electricity Act Amendment Bill becomes law. And on the foreign scene, Ethiopia hosts United Nations for summit as millions face hunger. In sports, Tinubu rewards Super Falcons with national honors. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. The Nigerian Medical Association has issued a fresh ultimatum to the federal government following extensive deliberation from an emergency delegate meeting of the Doctors Association, which unanimously condemned what it described as the federal government's poor handling of their welfare and a persistent lack of commitment to resolving key issues affecting medical professions. The group says the 21-day notice of a total and indefinite strike beginning on July 27 will continue unless the demands are comprehensively addressed. Despite the warning, the group says it remains hopeful that the government will prioritize the health needs of Nigerians and the welfare of doctors, many of whom continue to work under a difficult economic and workplace. The former All Progressive Party, ANPP, has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that the vice presidential seat is made sacrosanct for the ANPP bloc within the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, ahead of the 2027 presidential election. The coordinator of the party, Vitalis Ajumbe, made the call while addressing journalists in Abuja. Kikelomo Okere has the details.
The All Nigerian People's Party, which is now a major bloc within the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC), is calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that the vice presidential slot is reserved for the ANPP bloc when the party fields its candidate for the 2027 presidential election. The coordinator of the party, Vitalis Ajumbe, emphasized that the move will reaffirm the significance of political inclusion and uphold the spirit of equity and power sharing within the APC coalition.
Vice presidential seat. The Association of the former NPP members hereby calls on our president, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to ensure that the vice presidential seat is made sacrosanct.
He added that preserving the vice presidents for the ANPP bloc will not only strengthen internal democracy, but also maintain balance among the party's legacy group. The ANPP is one of the three legacy parties that merged to form the APC in 2013. With political realignment already taking shape across the country, this latest demand is expected to stir fresh conversation within the ruling party. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has hosted a post-election follow-up and need assessment mission from the Economic Community of West African State Network of Electoral Commission, ECONEC, in Abuja. The mission seeks to evaluate Nigeria's implementation of recommendations from the 2023 general election. Anita Patrick reports.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, received a delegation from the Economic Community of West African States Network of Electoral Commissions, ECONEC, on a post-election follow-up mission in Abuja. Led by the head of Liberia's National Elections Commission, Devita Brownie Lassana, the Ghanaian's Deputy Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Bosman Asare, the team is in Nigeria to assess progress made on recommendations issued after the 2023 general elections. Professor Yakubu says ECOWAS made 37 recommendations, 13 addressed to INEC and 24 directed at other stakeholders including the National Assembly, the Nigerian Police, civil society organizations, and media regulators. He confirmed that Independent National Electoral Commission had acted on all recommendations within its administrative capacity while awaiting legislative action on others.
Of these recommendations, 13 are addressed to INEC, while 24 require action by other institutions and stakeholders, such as the National Assembly, the Nigeria Police Force, the National Broadcasting Commission, the National Information Technology Development Agency, civil society organizations, the Nigeria Union of Journalists, and political parties under the umbrella of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. Furthermore, the follow-up mission will also interact with the National Identity Management Commission.
He noted that the Commission's detailed response, along with the 2023 election review report, is publicly available on its website. He commended ECOWAS and ECONEC for their consistent support to electoral integrity in the region and appreciated development partners. The leader of the delegation from ECONEC and head Liberia's National Elections Commission, Devita Brownie Lassana, while commending the INEC chairman, noted that the visit is a peer-to-peer review on its reports of the 2023 general elections to see how well Nigeria has implemented it as a way of lessons learned.
Peer-to-peer review of our presence here during the 2023 elections, but more importantly, the recommendations that we proffer, which were outlined in a report of our visit here. We've come to see how best INEC has implemented those recommendations, and we anticipate that during our engagement, we may be able to understand reasons for some of the issues that came out of the 2023 elections.
The follow-up mission is expected to engage key institutions including National Identity Management Commission as Nigeria continues efforts to strengthen its electoral system. Aniette Patrick, Global Television News.
In another, the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission has fixed Saturday, August 30, 2025 to conduct local government elections across the state. The chairman of the commission, Michael Ode, announced the revised timetable for the elections. The new date marks a shift from the previously scheduled August 9, which was set by the former chairman of the commission, led by retired Justice Adolphus Enebe, before the declaration. The President Nigerian Bar Association, Alpha Osigwe San, has expressed concern over Nigeria's high terrorism ranking and growing food crisis due to displacement. The NBA president made this known at North Central Security Summit 2025 in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. He further emphasized on the urgent need to address insecurity in Benue State as a call for peace and legal reform. Benue State correspondent Felicity Ndere has more.
Gotta keep right on searching till I find.
The North Central Security Summit 2025 was held in a resounding call for peace, accountability, and legal reform. The President Nigerian Bar Association, Afam Osigwe San, says the summit will help to discuss policies, legal reforms, and community strategies to improve security and justice with the goal of promoting peace and stability in the region. He emphasized the urgent need to address insecurity, referencing recent violence incidents in the state.
Some of the killings we witness are reported to arise out of crisis, ethnic crisis, farmer header crisis, and we thought that having a conversation around this theme and talking about strengthening our security architecture would go a long way in stemming the tide of these unlawful killings.
The Chief of Defence Staff, General Christopher Musa, represented by Air Commodore Olufemi Akinsoya, affirmed that the Nigerian military will uphold the tenets of the law with respect to human rights. Professor David Ikoni and the representative of the traditional rulers, His Royal Highness George Ede, highlighted security lapses while stressing the importance of citizens' involvement in intelligence, vigilance, and trust building with law enforcement.
Nigeria challenges in security are multi-dimensional. But despite this aggravation, but conscious of our own mandate, we rest assured that the armed forces of Nigeria will continue to execute assigned tasks in accordance with the rule of law, especially human rights and international humanitarian law.
They get them arrested initially, and maybe by the time they take them to court, some technicalities in the law will free these same people. And by then they have known that these are the people that have pointed fingers at me and others. That means it makes the communities and their leaders more vulnerable and more insecure.
Governor Hyacinth Alia called the summit timely, citing security challenges in Benue and urging judicial reforms, and expressed hope for lasting solutions.
I am confident that we will not only diagnose our problems, but prescribe practical, implementable solutions that will transform the security landscape of North Central Nigeria for generations that follow.
Under the theme Strengthening Security, Rule of Law and Justice Delivery in North Central Nigeria, the three-day summit convened by legal experts, government officials, security personnel, and civil society leaders from across the region.
The National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, has urged prospective corps members deployed to various states for the 2025 Batch B Stream 1 orientation exercise to avoid late-night journey to the orientation camp. The public relations officer of the scheme in Bauchi State, Jacob Onogo, made a call while speaking in an interview with journalists in the state, noting that the scheme has repeatedly frowned on late-night journey for the safety and security of the corps members. Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwifuru has suspended 87 government aides for failing to attend a government function. The government, in a statement signed by its Chief Press Secretary, Monday Uzo, said they were suspended for failing to attend an important government function, which include commissioners and ministers. Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has approved the appointment of Abubakar Ibrahim Bello as new Emir and Sarkin Katsina of Gusau Emirate. The Secretary to the Zamfara State Government, Abubakar Mohammed Makwada, stated that the appointment was made based on the traditional recommendation of the Gusau Emirates kingmakers, in accordance with established customs and relevant laws. Abdul Qadir ascended the exalted throne on the 16th Emir of the Gusau Emirate Council, following the passing of his father, His Royal Highness Ibrahim Bello. You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express return, Ethiopia hosts United Nations Food Summit as millions face hunger. Details coming shortly, plus sport and foreign stories on the other side of the break. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. Now let's take you to the world of business, where the federal government has launched a clampdown on the rising use of in-person cash advance after fresh data reveal that over 2.27 billion naira was disbursed under these two expenditure category in 2024 alone. The figure is a more than 308% increase from the 555.3 million naira recorded in 2023. Impress referred to a fixed amount of money issued to public officers to cover routine operational expenses, usually reimbursed quarterly, while cash advance denotes funds granted for specific administrative purposes or special projects, both of which must be retired. Proper documentation in line with financial regulations. The federal government sold the 11 power distribution companies through a reprivatization process if the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2025, currently before the National Assembly, becomes law. The amendment bill, sponsored by Senator Enyinaya Abaribe, seeks to overhaul the 2023 Electricity Act by addressing regulatory gaps, as it's one that investors risk losing their stake through share dilution, receivership, or outline a reprivatization if fresh capital is not injected into the sector within 12 months, following years of poor performance and a worsening debt crisis. United States President Donald Trump has outlined a sweeping new trade posture, announcing a universal tariff for essentially the rest of the world at 11 to 20%. The president, who stated this at a Thornberry resort, also reviewed plans to introduce a specific tariff on pharmaceuticals. Our correspondent, Mukhtar Kasim, reports.
Speaking alongside British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his Thornberry resort, President Donald Trump says the new tariffs would apply to countries without bilateral trade agreement with the United States.
We're going to be setting a tariff for essentially the rest of the world, and that's what they're going to pay if they want to do business in the United States. Because you can't sit down and make 200 deals. But we've made the big ones. We just finished Indonesia. They opened up their country. We just finished Japan. They opened up their country. You know, Japan opened up the country. They were totally closed. They opened up to our cars, even to rice. Rice was a big deal. They would never take anybody else's rice. They'd take in rice.
Trump says world tariff would set a blanket rate of 15 to 20%, up from the current 10%, intended to pressure smaller economies into direct negotiations.
Philippines, we just finished. They opened up their country. They were very closed. I'd love to see China open up their country. I just want to be nice. I would say in the range of 15 to 20%. But we're going to be announcing sometime very soon, I think, pharmaceuticals are our whole thing. And the companies know. And drug prices are going to be coming down very substantially in the U.S., very, very substantially.
While the United States and the European Union have reached a tentative trade deal, including a 15% tariff on most European Union goods, like medicines, some branded pharmaceuticals could still face higher duties. President Trump is signaling a tougher, more streamlined trade stance by introducing uniform tariffs and targeting pharmaceuticals. His administration is redrawing global trade lines with major implications for both partners and competitors. Mukhtar Kasim reporting for Global Television News.
It has been observed that global hunger is on the rise, worsened by conflict, climate shock, and economic instability. In response, world leaders have gathered in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the United Nations Food System Summit, seeking bold ideas and urgent action to transform the way food is produced, shared, and consumed. Zarau Nasir has more.
Against the backdrop of worsening humanitarian crisis in regions like Sudan and Gaza, the Ethiopian capital has become a hub of global dialogue on food and survival. At the heart of this year's UN Food Systems Summit is a single message: hunger is not inevitable, and transforming food systems is a global responsibility. For Ethiopia's Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, the summit is an opportunity to reposition Africa from a continent seen as vulnerable to one recognized for its vast agricultural potential.
Despite progress, the African continent faces mounting challenges. Yet Africa can feed itself and help feed the world. But this requires first development financing. Africa needs predictable concessional finance to invest in agriculture, rural transformation, infrastructure, and nutrition.
Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, emphasized the importance of global cooperation that prioritizes local empowerment and sustainability.
Insecurity is therefore, in its every aspect, a political issue, but not only. It is also and above all an economic issue. We would be making a serious mistake if we limited ourselves to looking at food systems through the face of poverty, suffering, and hunger. Food systems are an engine of growth and development, both for the most fragile nations and for those that are economically more solid.
From Addis Ababa, a powerful reminder echoes: in a world where food is abundant, no one should go hungry. The summit is not just a gathering of leaders, it is a call to action, and with lives at stake, delay is no longer an option. Zahra Nasser, reporting for Global TV News.
Kim Jong-un's influential sister has called on the United States to accept North Korea's irreversible status as a nuclear weapons state, warning that dialogue will ever lead to its denuclearization. In a statement, Kim Yong-jong said the recognition that Pyongyang's capability and the geopolitical environment had radically changed should be a prerequisite for everything in the future. Kim Yong-jong, who oversees the propaganda operations of the ruling Workers' Party of Korea, said it was by no means beneficial for the United States and North Korea to be in confrontation, and that Washington should seek another way of contact on the basis of such new thinking. Now from the world of sport, President Bola Tinubu has conferred national honor on all 24 players and the 11-member technical team of the Nigerian senior women's national football team. The Super Falcons, following their historic victory at the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON in Morocco. Kikelomo Okere has the details.
At the presidential reception held in the honor of 24 players, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu awarded each player and technical crew members the title of the Office of the Order of the Niger. He also directed the allocation of one 3-bedroom apartment to each player and technical crew member in the government's renewed Hope Housing Scheme. The president approved a cash award of the Naira equivalent of $100,000 to each of the 24 players and $50,000 equivalent to each technical team members.
On behalf of the grateful nation, I hereby conferred on the players the 11-man technical team with national honor. In addition, there is a cash award of the Naira equivalent of $100,000 each.
The president recounted the emotional moment of the final match, noting how the team performance lifted the nation's spirit and united Nigerians from all walks of life. The president assured the team of his administration continued support and commitment to sports development, pledging that the government will invest further in women, football and youth talent development across the country. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, described the Super Falcons as role model and shining examples of courage and excellence.
You are all role models to our young girls in Nigeria and across the continent. You have shown them what is possible if we work hard and it pays off eventually, and they too can rise to greatness.
Super Falcons captain Rashidat Ajibade says the victory was for team and for every Nigerian girl who dream of achieving greatness.
This victory is not just a trophy, it's a testament to the unhuman spirit of Nigeria. It's a celebration of every girl of village, towns and cities who dares to dream. Every family that believes in the power of unity and Nigeria who carries our green and white flag with pride.
Chairman of the National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, described the team's victory as a symbol of national unity, inspiration, and the triumph of belief, courage, and excellence.
We thank you, Mr. President, for your unwavering support for Nigerian sports. Under your leadership, the National Sports Commission has been repositioned with a clear mandate to enhance the power of sport as a unifying and transformative force in our society.
In a further show of appreciation, the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, also announced a donation of 10 million naira each to all players and technical team members on behalf of the 36 states governors. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
As Global TV News Express came to an end, here's a recap of the top stories. The Nigerian Medical Association has issued a fresh ultimatum to the federal government following extensive deliberation from an emergency delegate meeting of the Doctors Association, which unanimously condemned what it described as the federal government's poor handling of their welfare and a persistent lack of commitment to resolving key issues affecting medical professions. In business, the federal government may sell the 11 power distribution companies through a reprivatization process if the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2025, currently before the National Assembly, become law. And on the foreign scene, it has been observed that global hunger in the rise, worsened by conflicts, climate shock, and economic instability. In sports, President Bola Tinubu has conferred national honor on all 24 players and the 11-member technical team of the Nigerian senior women's national football team, the Super Falcons, following their historic victory at the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations, WAFCON, in Morocco. That's it on News Express. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thank you for watching.